Hey YouTube, it's your girl Divine Psychic Priestess. I'm coming here with um a present situation that I'm currently dealing with. Um, so basically, family, lover, friends, they all pretty much decided to sacrifice me and my child. I'm gonna start this and get all the way back. I'm not gonna disclose the situation with the ex sister slash friend. We not even gonna get into that part of it. We gonna fast forward to the situation with me. Just because God gave you a gift, and I'm gonna say this, just because God gave you a gift does not mean you have a mental health issue. And I'm gonna also say this. I am not to be talked about, played with, or touched. And that will be my last time continuously keep trying to warn people I'm not to be played with at all. But I think they're getting the idea because for the simple fact is I'm not dead yet. They thought I was dead. They thought I was supposed to already be dead. People been coming up to me or looking at me weird thinking that I was gonna die. No, you cannot kill me. You can't sacrifice me. You can't sacrifice my child. None of that's going on. But let's get into this story because we got some checks to get. We got some checks to get over here. So basically, they involve family, lover, friends. But my sperm donor, as far as my child, his family and my family is connected in a way. So that's for the people to figure all of that part out. But I know what I know. And my thing is because I was blessed with something does not mean you take it upon yourself to try to get me put into a mental hospital. And I'm going to say this too. I'm going to break it all down. So, I basically had met someone, befriended a person basically off the strength that I figured that somebody was trying to basically sacrifice me, set me up in a way, because they first attempt to kill me, it wasn't successful because they're stupid. Um, so basically, I got on this app, I met this person, we became fake cool or whatever, because I was playing my role, and he was sent to do something as well. So he was like, after a few times on live, he joined my live, and we were cool or whatever. Like that's just the role. So yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna come see you one of these days. I'm like, yeah, all right, that's cool. We from live, we ended up texting, like we called each other friend. Woo woo woo, that was that. So, yeah, he hit me up. He was like, "Oh, I'm about to come see you," and it was off the random. Like the day was starting to be done and over with. Like probably around 5 or 6 or so, he called me or whatever. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like just hit me up. Let me know when you here. So, he was like, "All right, bet." Woo woo woo. So mind you, we was planning on having like a session. Mind you, I don't smoke anymore. Like I'm good. Like, and when it came to jobs, I knew when and how to stop. Like, it's not something that I felt like it was a need. It was just something like I did just because that's what I chose to do. But I completely stopped. So he on the way here he was like, "Oh, my brother gonna come with me." Woo woo. Woo. Mind you, when we were on live, he had like after a couple times being on live, woo woo, his brother had gotten the camera, and I'm like, if I told you I ain't trying to talk to nobody, what makes you think I'm trying to talk to your brother? Like, make it make sense. So, I'm just giving weird faces. He trying to talk to me. I'm just giving weird faces. I'm like, no, I ain't interested in none of that. So the dude, the day of the boy supposed to come see me or whatever. So he comes see me or whatever. So while he on his way, I hit him up. I was like, "Hey, you got some gas or whatever?" Mind you, this is my whole plan. Like, but I know in the back of my mind is a possibility it could be something wrong. Like, it could be something wrong. So we gonna get to that part. So on his way to me, I decided to get my house prepared for them to come over. Like, stay, I put everything where it need to be for the situation. I made sure my TV in the room was loud. It had Coco Melon on it. I had to put my daughter in the room. I told her, do not come out the room under no circumstances until I come back and I get you. So I did that. I put her in the room. I had Coco Melon loud on the TV on purpose, like I had it up. So they get there, whatever. So like I let them in the building. I fake walk over to my mailbox. I already checked my mail for the day. So I fake walk over to my mailbox. I'm checking the mail. Ooh, I'm reading body language. So I walk up to my house. I'm walking them to where we about to go chill at or whatever. So we in there chilling, and like we decided to play some games or whatever. He sold me what he sold me. I sent my money. This probably like 7 o'clock hour. I sent my money, straight cash money. Like, it's never, oh, you got a deal for me. Ooh, I didn't care because I knew that was a possibility. That's why I didn't ask for no pressure. Like, I knew what it was and I knew what they was gonna do. So he sold it to me, and this the whole kicker. They was like, he sold it to me, whatever. He still had something in the bag for him to smoke, but he was like, I'm about to go get some gas so I could have, some more I could read because you bought it all basically. So I was like, all right, cool. So they leave. They decide to leave. He was like, don't smoke without me. We gonna match with woo, this, that, and the third. So it took them like an hour and a half to 2 hours to come back. They come back, we chilling, listening to music, playing Uno, I think Connect Four. We just playing board games and stuff, chilling. We rolled up or whatever. So mind you, once the J's start going in rotation, mind you, this is all a part of my plan. I don't normally smoke nothing but Zod. Like, I just don't. But this is my whole plan because I'm like, I know this is a setup. Like, I know already. So like the J's is in rotation. One of the boys got the J. He's fake smoking. Like, he literally fake smoking. Like, I'm looking like, so y'all can't, like, that's when I, like, it was 100% sure, like, this this is a whole setup. Like, this is a whole setup. Cause they not even hitting it. They not hitting it. So I'm fake hitting it. Like, he passed it to his brother, and then he passed it to me. So everybody, I'm like, okay, this what we doing. So I'm fake hitting it. I'm blowing in, blowing that shit out, not inhaling it. Because I know that it's possibly something wrong with it. But this is probably something that they smoke. Like they just not trying to be more high than me at the moment because the situation at hand. They don't know. They don't want it to play out and it go a different way. So I'm already aware of all of this. So mind you, um, like it's still going in rotation. He like pass it to her, pass it to her. Never red flag, never light bulb. So I'm like, yeah, this giving all red flag teas. So as though we are, some of it did get like in my system, and I also still have um more evidence of the stuff. So I'm not worried about that part of it. So I did like we started having a conversation or whatever, and throughout the mix, and they was like, "Oh, you cool, you real cool as shit, like you cool." So I'm like, "Okay, like that's what's up, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Y'all cool too, da da da." So my daughter is on FaceTime in the room, cause in the middle of us chilling, my mom called my phone, and I took the phone in the room. Mind you, my daughter never came out of the room. I took my phone in the room. They on FaceTime. Da 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 da. So I guess the call was over. Or they was about to be the phone call was about to be over, and my mother, she ended up telling her to bring me the phone or something. I don't know. So she came out the room. Their eyes got big. I hurried up and got up, and I took her right back in the room, like literally. So I took her right back in the room, and that's when they was like, I hurried up, took her in the room, and I came back, and that's when they was like that they was getting ready to leave. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm about to walk y'all out. So I get ready, and I walk them out. Mind you, they wasn't expecting no kid to be there, but like I said, I had Coco Melon like on the TV. It was so loud, like I could hear it in the living room. I don't know how they did, but I made sure I put something behind the door. Like I said, I don't know what the situation was as far as the weed. Like I didn't know. So and by the time she did come out the room, like everything was done. But at the same token, like you know how that shit go. Um, but it's like a possibility, like in the back of my mind, like I gotta think of everything, like you know what I'm saying, like so I made sure like the house was stationed so that it wouldn't bother her, like fan on, windows open, like the towels behind the door, like all of that, because I was prepared that this was a whole setup. So I'm like, all right, I'm about to walk y'all out. I get my trash. I get my trash. They already walked out. So they walked out ahead of me. I'm like, all right, I'm about to get my trash. I'm about to walk y'all out. So I tie my bag up and everything. I open my door. They heard the sound. The person heard the sound of my door opening. I open the door, bang my trash on the wall, and I peek half of my face out the door. When I peek half of my face out the door, somebody bust around the corner. Like they was walking around the corner. Boom. I already knew who it was. So I hurried up and closed and locked the door. So when I did that, I'm like, I'm starting to like get into the mix, like then as though I started feeling weird. Like I really started feeling weird. So I had called my mother, and I called the ex friend slash sister, and I'm just like, bruh, like what the fuck? Like I'm going like in the whatever that was, it was just like starting to get to me. Like it was getting to me a little bit. And I'm like, bruh, like I don't even be crying. Like what the hell is this? Like what the fuck is this that these people try to give me? So I called my mother, two ex friends or whatever, and my mother ended up coming to get us or whatever. So I went over her house for a few days. She was like, you need to go to the hospital and, check to make sure nothing is wrong. This is the conversation she had with me. I finally agreed. At first, I wasn't on board with going to the hospital because I kind of felt like it was a setup. Like, this whole thing was a setup. Like, from them coming to my house, from the hospital visit, or like all of that was just a whole setup. So, I packed some stuff. We went over there. I went to the hospital the next day. Mind you, I haven't talked to barely or seen my ex-boyfriend. Mind you, I haven't really talked to him. I haven't talked to him in months. Like after he was sending pictures, after a certain point, he's all of that stopped. I would call, he wouldn't answer the phone, and I called him that night too at the event, like the situation. He was like, "Bro, you don't even, be like, you don't do stuff like you don't be doing this, that, and the third, like." He was like, you could call me, like, you need something, boo, this, that, and the third. I'm like, bro, you don't even answer the phone, pick up the phone, like, since we separated. Like, what are you talking about? So I just let that go over my head because I'm like, all of this is a part of the whole scheme, but okay, cool. So, he agreed to come with us to the hospital. So he came over. We all rode to the hospital. I get to the hospital on some, oh, your mother telling me you got mental issues and oh, you didn't have your medicine and this, that, and the third. Like, I'm tripping out and all this stuff. Mind you, my mother even put that out there for me to even go. Like, I decided to go, to therapy because, like, I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. Like, I've been through a lot. Abusive relationships, all type of stuff, like neglect from my own parent, like, and my father never been in my life. So it was just like I've been through some stuff and I still came out on top. I've always had a job. Like, just my last employment, I wrongfully got fired. I got my termination letter like a month later, and it's saying all this stuff I never did. That's a whole nother part to this. And it involves the sperm donor. They wrongfully got me fired from both of my jobs when I was pregnant and afterwards. Like, once I got back on my feet after I had the baby and everything. But that's a whole nother story to get into. Like I said, these people owe up, and I ain't stopping until I get everything that's owed to me. But back to the hospital story. I get to the hospital, they like, oh, your mom has been telling us like you been going through some stuff, like you haven't had your medicine, you haven't been taking your medicine, this, that, and the third. And they're like yelling at me in the hospital, like not yelling at me, but they're talking like they gotta speak loud basically to me, like I got a mental issue going on. And I'm like, I'm perfectly fine. You don't gotta yell like that. Like, I'm laughing because it's like, bro, like, are y'all serious right now? Like, are y'all serious right now? So I'm like, okay. I'm like, sir, ma'am, whoever y'all is, I am not going through nothing, none of this stuff that they trying to make it seem like I'm going through. Because if that was the case, I would have never had no job. I wouldn't be able to take care of myself. I wouldn't be able to stand on my own 10 toes and get shit out the mud how I get shit out the mud. I wouldn't be able to function the way I function if I had that type of stuff going on. The mental health places involved, like all of that, like all these agencies, these people, like they've cutting off my services within the agencies. You know the rest. The agencies that help support you, they can't cut my stuff off during the holidays and everything. So they held me in the hospital. They was basically trying to force me to go to hospital to trip out so that I could go to the psych ward. But like I said, I don't have mental health issues. So it's none of that going to be going on. So they held me in the hospital from the morning time all the way up till 9, 10 o'clock at night. They finally let me go. They released me. They gave me discharge papers. And my discharge papers say, oh, some basically like I have mental health issues, my medicine and all that. The results that they sent me, the test results was changed in the hospital. Somebody paid people to change the test results in the hospital because it was definitely something in my system, and I would like for somebody private, somebody that I could trust. I have to really feel like that person to make sure that I could trust them to give them the actual what I have so that they can test it. But on our way to the hospital, I end up giving my ex-boyfriend the bag that they sold me, basically what they sold me. It was still there because other than that moment when we were sitting across from each other in my house and the situation was going on, that was the only time I hit that shit. Like, I wasn't about to smoke that shit again, but I wanted to keep it just in case, like, the situation was going to be investigated. So my mother is in on this stuff. Like, they got her trying to, every time I try to point out something that's facts, she trying to make me think something else. So I basically separated myself from everybody, cut everybody off, friends, lovers, mother, everybody got cut off due to this situation because it was like I can't trust none of y'all because y'all all in on this for some money. And that is the audacity of motherfuckers. It's the audacity because it's like I'm a real sweet kind person, and it's like I would do anything. I would give the shirt off my back, the shoes on my feet, my last $10 to somebody that's in need. I even when I'm out in public and I see somebody begging, I feed homeless people. I'll go buy them what they need. Whatever they ask for, I go buy it. I do stuff like that. And for people to snake me out like this for some money is kind of baffling to me. They tried to set me up to get me locked up. Mind you, I don't have nobody that I can lean on to hold my kid down if I take a bid. You know what I'm saying? I don't got nobody. I don't even trust my own mother. I just tolerated her for so long. But when this happened around January and it's still going on. But I'm about to get into the whole situation. Like after they let me out the hospital, I went home to my mother's house, back to my mother's house for a few days. I ended up coming back home. I noticed that somebody came in my house. And mind you, at this time, the rental office so-called did not have no key to my house. The rental office didn't have no key to my house. And when I first moved here, I found out that someone else in the building used to live in my apartment. And being as though they gave me the key that they only, probably the last key that was left, because most apartment complex